Hey guys, welcome back to Headlines. This year I'm gonna increase my English language input by putting in some hours on reading English books. You might be in hope of improving your English skills by reading English books as well. That's a good thing because human brain has this authentic intelligence, so don't be afraid to feed it with large volumes of data. And you are expected to reap considerable benefits from reading books. Today I'm here to help you find books that might help facilitate your goals and make your reading process much more easier. So how many of you have set a goal for finishing reading an English book, but ended up in giving it up? I have. I remember the first book I read was Far From the Madding Crowd, written by Thomas Hardy, and it was like, a declared disaster. I was then stuck by expressions pretty much in every other paragraph on every page, and you know the rest. After that, I quickly dived into my second English book, The Da Vinci Code.
Witness the greatest cover-up in human history.
As dark as contrast could be, the story kept me hooked from the start to finish, and I completely forgot my plan for learning English. Well, what I took away from these experiences are, number one, when it comes to learning English through reading English books, you're gonna realize that books may vary dramatically in the roles they play in learning English. The second one, select the books intentionally and strategically. Select the books that draw your attention on both the content and the language. So I'm going to tackle the problem by drawing a coordinate. The x-axis represents the language difficulty of a book, and the y-axis stands for the level of expertise. And now we have 4 quadrants ready to be filled in with books. Books require high level of expertise and written in sophisticated languages and loaded with terminologies are mostly academic related, such as some monographs, which are supposed to be in the first quadrant. Books with elegant, sophisticated, as well as obscured and uncommon languages, but cater to most native speakers are usually classic literature. There are books we come across in the history of English literature, the time-honored ones, with no doubt it should belong to the last quadrant. Books in the second and third quadrants don't insist on a high level of language. Obviously, I'll draw popular fictions in the third quadrant. And what's left are informative books, written in a clear and straightforward way, in other words, best-selling informative books. Among so many bestsellers, you'll still be able to rank the books by the commonality of the subjects, your personal interest, and English language level, such as science, biography, economy, business, cross-knowledge, art, psychology, self-help books, and etc. And voila, we have the coordinates for books. Now let's map the books to your English learning goals. So if you want to bury yourself or are compelled to bury yourself in the knowledge of expertise, go ahead and choose the first quadrant. While if you seek the pleasure of immersing yourself in literature, deeply care about the struggle of humanity, and really enjoy the flowery and elliptical languages, try the fourth quadrant. Note the preliminaries to these quadrants are abundance of vocabularies and resilience to persevere. If it is not your case, I personally recommend you stay away from them. Don't ask for trouble, because the process could be bitterly frustrating and the result might not be as beneficial as you expected. For much more realistic goals, suppose you want to improve coherency and fluency of the language in the first place, I strongly recommend books in between the second and the third quadrants, some self-help books or popular fictions. If story is not your first priority, popular fictions like mystery, thriller, crime, or science fictions might not be your best choices, because it's easy to get lost in the stories. On the other hand, if you stop to look up words in dictionary every now and then, it could definitely ruin the reading experience. But still, it's an efficient way to cultivate your language intuition. And now, if you took a little bit more on gaining knowledge as well as developing vocabularies in a certain area, stick to the second quadrant. Choose the bestsellers for their guaranteed. One thing I'm gonna remind you is that no matter what kind of books you choose, please don't underestimate any of them. Don't expect things could go easy on you. You could bump into new words and expressions in every possible minute. So stay hungry and humble. If you're really on board, in the next 3 days, let's embark our journey on reading the very first book in 2023, Build a Second Brain. I'll bring you some new stuff and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So that's all for today. Stay tuned this week for the main course. This is Headlines.